I was living in Los Angeles. I was writing for different magazines and newspapers. I was teaching dance history at UC Riverside, and I was taking yoga with my friend Billy Porter, who was the first person I knew who died. And I think he died in '86. And I was reading the New York Times. I was living in Los Angeles, but I was reading the New York Times every morning, and the first thing was the obits. And I was very aware of the artists and the dancers, the people in the arts, the theater people who were dying, and I felt like it was a double death, because I felt like it was the person, and I also felt like it was the work. In 1989, I went on my first silent retreat, a week of silence in northern New Mexico, which figures in this story. And on the last day of the retreat, when I was meditating, I really did hear a voice, and I've heard a voice twice in my life, and I heard a voice. And the voice said, "Why don't you start a writing workshop for people with AIDS?" And I came back to LA, and I spoke to a few people. And do you know the word in Yiddish, beschert? It was fated. It was meant to be, completely meant to be, and one door opened after another. The workshop began in October 1990 with one weekly workshop, and I still remember the first day. At APLA, there must have been 20 people in the room. There was a man sitting next to me who had KS. I'd never been up close to KS, and I just looked over and saw what he wrote, and he said, "I feel like a leper." And there was another man who I came to know very, very well, an extraordinary person, and I was sitting across from him, and he was grimacing so much, and I thought, oh, he doesn't like this. And later, very soon after, I found out he was in pain. It was a great opportunity for all of us, and many of the people who came to the workshop were asymptomatic, and many were very, very sick. And for some people, it was the only time in the week when they weren't doing something medical. The way the workshop always worked was people would write in the workshop and then read. And I would bring in prompts to get everybody going, and everyone wrote. In the first group, there was a redhead named Philip Justin Smith. When this other man objected to being in public, Philip stood up and he said, "Heal the shame, heal the shame." So when people read, there was a kind of amazing pride, because they weren't reading something that wasn't cared for, wasn't edited, wasn't really shaped. They weren't just reading journal writing, they had made something, and they were standing up for themselves in all manner of health. And the great beauty of the time, people wanted to listen. And also, when you read your work to people you don't know and they respond, I think it is a reflection that what you have written and who you are matters.